Today we are going to be reviewing Love and Lies, which is a romance high school comedy anime about rejecting the system and finding your true loved one. The anime begins by giving us a brief outlook on how the system works. It has been 40 years since the Yukari law of choosing marriage partners for kids once they turned 16 was passed. The law was passed to control the low birth rates in Japan, and since it's based on statistics and calculations, the offsprings of such couples are actually pretty good. Then it all cuts to our protagonist, Yukari Nejima, having the most teenage boy daydream possible, thinking about how he's going to fall in love and marry the most beautiful girl in his class, Takasaki Misaki. However, he is afraid that he would get his notice in the next 2 days since his birthday is due soon. That night, he makes an oath that he would confess his love the next day after reminiscing about how he fell in love with her after she said thank you to him after he gave her half of her eraser. Yes, that's exactly all boys need to fall in love. The next day, he tries to confess his love to her, but when he mentions that she sat together with him for a year in grade school, she says she doesn't remember. Hearing this, he gets disheartened and leaves by saying that he would wait for her in the park in the evening. He keeps waiting in the park for hours. However, she doesn't show up just until he's about to leave when she catches him by his shirt. Nejima then goes on to confess his love for her after going round about it for a while. I'm surprised he was able to say it before daybreak. Takasaki then starts crying and telling him that she had loved him since the day too, and they both hug and then later on kiss. And they would have done a lot more had Nejima's phone not rung right in the middle. The ring was because of a mail, and the mail stated that according to the notification from the government, Nejima was set to marry Takasaki, and they both were happy until the phone battery ran out and 2 government officials showed up with Nejima's notice, on which his partner's name was Sanada Ririna, instead of Takasaki Misaki. The episode begins with Nejima coming to school on the day of his meeting with Ririna's family. Everyone was surprised that he was sent home against his will. Before going there, Takasaki comes and tells him to forget about her. This puts him in a daze. He's confused, but he still goes on to meet Ririna and her family. Ririna is pretty open and nice to him, but the confused Nejima isn't even looking her in the eye, except the fact that he commented that she's just as beautiful as Takasaki. Ririna finally snaps and goes away. Nejima goes to bring her back, but ends up telling her all about himself and Takasaki. Ririna is really excited about it, and she wants to help them. Ririna and Nejima go back while holding hands to brush off their parents. After enjoying the view for a while, Nejima tells her to button her shirt up again. The next day, Ririna calls Nejima to her school. There he hears a weird nickname about Ririna, and she then tells him how she isn't able to make any friends as she's socially awkward. As they are about to leave, they spot Takasaki, and Ririna then asks Takasaki about what she likes in the guy. Takasaki then fanboys over the most average guy on the planet for a while, and then tells Ririna that she had fun and she would love to talk again. Ririna then suggests that Nejima should kiss Takasaki. Nisaka reminisces about how he was getting pinned down once in middle school, and Nejima called the police and that they had been best friends ever since. Later that day, during PE, Takasaki and Nisaka give each other weird looks. He assumes that Nisaka and Takasaki have something going on. Nejima is invited to Ririna's house on a Sunday. He finds out that Takasaki is there too. Both of them try to leave, but stay when Ririna insists. She then tells them to kiss in front of her. Takasaki first refuses, but is the one raring to go right after. She leaps in to kiss him, but Nejima gets cold feet? Oh, come on! The next day, Nejima and Takasaki talk about what Ririna said after Takasaki left. And it's revealed that she told him to kiss Takasaki once every day. Both of them then hide from someone approaching, and since they are so close, Takasaki leaps in for another kiss, and this time succeeds. Nejima and Takasaki then engage in some serious kissing, and are seen by Nisaka in the act. Later on, Nejima is sleeping in the classroom, but there he is, kissed by Nisaka, and it's revealed that Nisaka is in fact in love with Nejima. This one begins with Ririna visiting Nejima's home. She goes to his room after dinner and they clean it together. Then she asks Nejima about whether he kissed Takasaki or not the other day. He said yes, and then she is happy that she doesn't feel bad. She also tells him that she's not doing it for him, but for Takasaki. People from Yukari Initiative come to Nejima residence and ask about how their relationship has been progressing after the notice. They also ask about if they have been doing pervy stuff. Still, since it's a PG-13 anime, they clearly haven't. On their way, they ask about where Takasaki lives, to which Nejima is shocked, but Rurina comforts him. The next day, he gets after-school duty with Takasaki, and they both talk about the people who came to Nejima's home. Takasaki then tells Nejima that no one will ever be as special to her as Nejima, and they both do the kiss of the week. Rurina then tells Nejima that both their families are going on a joint family trip, and that she invited Takasaki. So, to handle the pressure better, Nejima invites Nisaka to accompany him. Nejima, Rurina, Takasaki, and Nisaka all go to the trip Rurina and Nejima's family arranged. They are pretty awkward around each other, as Nejima thinks Nisaka likes Takasaki, and Rurina thinks Nisaka is a pervert. Little did others know that she was actually right. Later on, Nisaka and Nejima try to cook, but Nisaka is so bad at it that it's baffling. When Nejima goes to call Rurina and Takasaki for dinner, they are both in their swimsuits and are bathing in the river. Nejima tries not to look and even jokes about the rule of seeing swimsuits is perfectly okay while seeing underwear is not an anime. Rurina then falls down and Nejima has to carry her back, thanks to which she's really embarrassed. Later that night, the whole group goes for a test of courage. They split up as Nejima plus Takasaki and Nisaka plus Rurina. Nisaka explains to Rurina that it's not all going to be rosy if Nejima actually rejects the proposal by the government, and that she herself would have no place as the third wheel she is trying to be in their lives. Rurina is completely shocked by all this and contemplates her decision and is confused. At the same time, Takasaki and Nejima fall down in a pit and Takasaki's shirt is unbuttoned, leading to a lot of confusion later. And then she hugs Nejima as well. Rurina and Nisaka arrive at the scene and they both come down as well. The gang later ends up in some really beautiful scenery with fireflies, and then it is shown to be back home after the trip. At the end, Rurina shows interest in burial mounds, like Nejima, and Nisaka apologizes for lying to him. This episode focuses on Rurina first, as she's greeted by the little sister of the doctor who took care of her when she was hospitalized back in her childhood. Rurina is very reluctant to be her friend, and she's tired from imagining the fact that Nejima would do more than just kiss her. So she pushes her away, but in the end agrees to it. Later on, Nejima and the others are told to skip the next few lectures and go straight to the Yukari Initiative office for a special class. Nejima meets Takita's wife there, who he thinks is pretty cute. After a while, Rurina comes to where Nejima is with her hair down. She tells him that it was a suggestion by her new friend. Then the officials at the Yukari Initiative tell everyone that the main purpose was to stabilize the birth rate in Japan, and since they are all couples, they show them a video on how to have
Hey, stop!
and then told to spend the night together. Before that, Nejima hears a couple gossiping about how they are penalized if they don't do it. Nejima, unable to control his hormones, pounces on Rurina in bed as she seems to want it herself. The episode begins with Nejima on top of Rurina. He kisses her and then gets in the mood for more. After a lot of kisses, he finally opens his eyes and sees that Rurina is crying. He immediately stops, apologizes, and tells Rurina that he did it because he thought that they were being watched. Rurina then explains that it would be impossible for the government to invade people's privacy like that. Rurina then tells them that they should keep their distance as she is afraid of letting Nejima touch her. Nejima begins regretting his own decision and gets hurt protecting the gift that Rurina gave him earlier. Takasaki cannot control that and runs to him when he's in the nurse's office and asks him why he's so out of it. Then she goes ahead and meets Rurina, where Rurina tells her that she's lonely without Nejima, and she stops herself from saying that it was love as she was afraid that both of them might realize it. Nejima sends another long message to Rurina, but she doesn't reply. Later, he receives a letter where Rurina tells him that Rurina isn't responding because she is still not able to control her own emotions properly. This episode mainly focuses on the boys. The Fujoshis would love this. Nisaka is starring as Juliet in the School Culture Festival play, and Takasaki is starring as Romeo. Nisaka doesn't want to do the part because he thinks Romeo and Juliet is a stupid story about two people not giving a damn about society and its rules. And thus, of course, it ends in tragedy. Nejima, however, compares it to their current situation and finds it romantic. Thus, he's able to persuade Nisaka to play Juliet. Later on, Nejima meets Takasaki when he drops some papers, since these two are the only people in the entire school. Nejima asks Takasaki about Nisaka, to which she's indifferent, and then asks her, "What is love?"
Hey, stop!
Takasaki replies that love is when you wait for someone and are happy even by just seeing them. She also asserts that she has loved him for a long time, and after Nejima confessed his feelings for her, her feelings just exploded, and she now wants him more and more than she did before he got her notice. She also mentions how she's jealous of Rurina as she's pretty and elegant and is the assigned wife of Nejima. Nejima then goes and hugs the crying Takasaki, and she then repeats the question back at him, what exactly is love? This episode opens up with everyone preparing for the play on the Culture Festival. Nejima is sneaking a peek at the beautiful Takasaki as he distributes those flyers and sees a gal-type girl from his middle school who always used to scold him. Then Yajima, the guy from the Yukari Foundation, arrives at the festival, and Nejima makes a comment on how he has come alone in search of some time to kill in his lonely life. He was right. But Yajima managed to avoid the question and convinced him that he's here for work. It is later revealed that at Nejima's request, he looked into why he got a different notice on his mobile. He tells him that it may have just been an error, but outside interference was involved. Later, Rurina arrives at the Culture Festival, but she and Nejima are still awkward around each other. Nisaka then cheers up Nejima by saying that he is only there thanks to him, so he should not be bummed about being useless. He really should be, though. After everything is sorted out, the play begins and it goes flawlessly. Everyone is happy about it, and on their way to meet Nisaka and Takasaki, Nejima is interrupted by Igarashi Shu, Takasaki's friend. She tells him that Takasaki Misaki is his destined partner and asks him what he plans on doing with the notice he received on his mobile. Rurina asks Nejima what Shu meant, and as usual, he has no idea what to say, just like he has no idea about his own love life. Then they both comment on the fact that they are talking normally and that they should keep doing it as there are bigger problems. Nejima and the Ko are then invited by Nisaka's father to a wedding, and they all naturally agree to go. Nejima then messages Shu about the problem, but she blocks him. Then Rurina messages her and immediately gets a reply on where they should meet. When they go to see her, they find out that her grandmother founded the matchmaking system and that she wants to protect Misaki. We then get a flashback on how she met Misaki, and she was trying to buy photos of Nejima from the school trip. She told him that she thought Misaki was fake before she encountered her real self when she fanboyed over Nejima. Something none of us really know how it came to pass. She then tells everyone that she wants to protect Misaki and her feelings and wants to understand love. She believes that Misaki's true love is Nejima, but she is not sure about whom Nejima's true love is. In the end, Yajima comes and interrupts them by telling them that the notice system is absolute and that kids spouting nonsense about love are hardly relevant in the grand scheme of things. That's honestly the first piece of dialogue that makes sense in this show. The group goes to the wedding of Nisaki's brother, and there both of the girls are asked to play role models for bridal costumes. They agree, and Nejima is also allowed to be there when they do it. The ceremony goes without a hitch as a video of the couple is played since they got the notice, and Nejima starts imagining various things. Rurina then tells Misaki that her life became much better since meeting Nejima and her, and that she's now making more friends at school and everywhere else too. Later on, during the bouquet throwing ceremony, Misaki is sitting on the floor crying about something, and Yukari comes and sees her. He comforts her by kissing her, but the fact that nothing ever goes without a hitch in a rom-com, Rurina sees them going at it. She doesn't say a word and leaves. Later that night, Nejima regrets his actions and thinks he is hurting Misaki, and sleeps. The next day, he wakes up to find out that Rurina's family and Nejima's family are all going on a joint hot spring trip. Rurina and Nejima wander around the city and have fun, and are then told that they both get a private room, since parental control is simply non-existent in this show. They have a small conversation about fate and designated partners in the hot springs, but are interrupted by Rurina's father. Later that night, and unable to sleep, Rurina wakes up and tells Nejima that he should choose Misaki over her. Rurina tells Nejima about her plan to get him and Misaki together. She further adds that if they give a lot of interviews about their compatibility being low, then they can get out of the assigned partner thing without being penalized for it. She doesn't want to do it, but she suggests it anyways, and Nejima, like always, is letting the girls do all the work for him, and thus reluctantly agrees to this arrangement. However, since they both don't want to do it, they do some breakup kissing. Actually, a lot of breakup kissing. The next day, Misaka comes to Nejima's home and asks him why he is not going to the bridal shoot they all agreed upon. Nejima asks him if it's okay to lie, and Misaka, as always, being the voice of reason except for the times he is in love with this mediocre guy, tells him that he should not be afraid to choose both of them, and that it's okay to hurt someone because if they mean a lot to you, you can cheer them up just as fast. Which is probably the only good dialogue in the show. Nejima then runs to the shooting site, and Rorina and Misaki discuss everything they were planning to do, to which Misaki disagrees, and then is found out for lying about it all. In the end, Nejima reaches the site and tells them that they both look really pretty, and gets a photo with both of them. And thus, just like in the rest of the series, the last episode couldn't decide on which girl to keep either. As always, thanks for watching. If you liked it, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to Anime Recap for more stories. And if you want to see some long-winded abridges and parodies at the narrator, that's me, May, check out my channel here. Thanks again for watching. Bye.